I'm talking right now with Sheriff Clarke, Sheriff David Clarke. And Sheriff, because your tough stance on crime, many want you to either run for Senate or take the FBI job. So let me ask you this, Sheriff Clarke. Have you heard from the White House in terms of asking you potentially to take the FBI job?
No, I haven't, but even if I did, I don't think I'd tell you. You know, those kind of conversations are confidential. But, you know, I stand by and I wear it as a badge of honor, my position on crime, my position on the rule of law, and, you know, the protection of law-abiding citizens, which I've done for nearly 40 years.
And are you considering running for Senate, sir?
That's very unlikely.
Unlikely. Let me ask you, Sheriff Clarke, we've been talking this morning about Chicago. They've had their 200th homicide in Chicago, Sheriff. It's a horrible situation there. The 200th homicide of the year, according to the Chicago Tribune. This grim milestone was reached after several shots were fired and a man was killed Monday night. How can law enforcement combat this violence in Chicago that seems to be never-ending?
And that's following a week in which two of Chicago's finest were ambushed as they were investigating a crime in Chicago. I mean, let that sink in for a little bit, Maria. 200 homicides, and we're just into May. The numbers are similar to what they were last year, same with non-fatal shootings. The problem is they do not have an operational plan to succeed in this thing. They talk about some tactics down there. Chicago's not that far away from Milwaukee, about 78 miles. They talk about tactics that they're using, but that's not a plan. They need an operational plan. I know that Attorney General Jeff Sessions has had some discussions with the mayor and the police commissioner, or superintendent, I should say, down there. But until an operational plan is in place, and I know that Jeff Sessions is going to make sure that that happens, not much is going to change.
Yeah, it just seems like this has gotten ahead of so many people, and it's hard to contain it at this point. What would you say are the most important steps to be taken in Chicago? Do you need to show the people of Chicago that the police are serious, are tough on any crime, on gun violence? I mean, how do you stop it?
Well, first of all, what has to happen is that consent decree that the Chicago Police Department is under has to be lifted, and the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, talked about doing that. That is handcuff the police. We need the police in Chicago, like in other major cities, to be aggressive, assertive, follow the Constitution, no doubt about that, but they have to once again put the criminal element on their heels. Right now, these gangs and these criminal elements, these cartels are controlling actual neighborhoods on the south side of Chicago. There's actually like 5 neighborhoods. I've looked at the crime maps, and I've been in touch with some people at the Chicago Police Department. And so it is, you know, an area that can be gotten under control, but until there's an operational plan. So I'd start with lifting that consent decree. I'd also put things in place, working with the State Department of Probation and Parole for the state of Illinois. I'd do warrant sweeps. I would do a lot of traffic stops. Traffic stops lead to a treasure trove of criminal activity. You find people wanted on serious warrants. You find weapons. You find drugs. So it's all sorts of tactics, but put together in a cohesive and coherent plan. Look, I've done this. It's been done in other cities. Look at New York. Look at other cities that have seen a decrease in crime after they've had an actual philosophy, an operational plan to succeed. But right now, the political class is not supported the Chicago Police Department. They not only need resources in terms of human resources, they're operating with outdated technology, so you don't have the information sharing systems or the databases to get this information in real time to the cops in the street so that they can utilize their experience in working these certain neighborhoods and go ahead and once again get these streets under control. So it's a big job, there's no doubt about that. But now we have an Attorney General who's going to offer the resources. The federal government isn't going to move in and take over Chicago, but they're going to offer the federal resources to assist the local police department or the Chicago Police Department to get this thing under control, because you have good law-abiding citizens living in these areas, and they're living in fear, they're living in terror. The quality of life is terrible, it's poor. And this can be reversed, but not without an operational plan. So I look at the political leadership. That's where I'd start.
Yeah, it's very upsetting. And we appreciate your time this morning, Sheriff. Thank you so much for joining us. By the way, we just got a tweet from one of our viewers who says, David Clarke is a wonderful patriot. Thank you very much, Sheriff Clarke. Good to see you, sir.